Welcome to the Scaringi Law Lunch Break. This is your time of the day to learn something about the law while you enjoy your lunch. The explosive allegation made by Christine Blasey Ford, a liberal activist, Democratic donor, and supporter of Bernie Sanders' 2016 presidential campaign, that Judge Brett Kavanaugh sexually assaulted her in the early 80s when they were both in high school, has rocked the nation's capital. Kavanaugh's confirmation, once assured, is now in jeopardy. Kavanaugh has strongly denied the allegations. Many Americans have cried foul, arguing it's unfair to Kavanaugh that this allegation is now only being raised 35 years later and on the eve of his confirmation vote. While the drama plays out in Washington, D.C., Pennsylvanians should pay close attention, not only because of its impact on the nomination of Kavanaugh to the United States Supreme Court, but also because it puts into stark relief the issues members of the Pennsylvania General Assembly are currently debating, whether to increase the statute of limitations to bring civil claims or file criminal complaints in Pennsylvania regarding child sexual abuse. Christine Blasey Ford has not brought a civil claim, but a zealous Maryland prosecutor could investigate and decide to charge Kavanaugh criminally right now. That's because there's no statute of limitations for felony sex offenses in Maryland. And Blasey Ford's letter to Senator Dianne Feinstein might provide a possible factual basis for two offenses. One is Ford wrote that Kavanaugh and his friend pushed her into a bedroom in Bethesda, Maryland, locked the door, and then Kavanaugh physically and sexually assaulted me, she claims, and Kavanaugh was on top of me, tried to disrobe me, and she added, with Kavanaugh's hand over my mouth, I feared he may inadvertently kill me. She claims I received medical treatment regarding the assault. A review of the Maryland State Criminal Code in conjunction with Blasey Ford's letter indicates Kavanaugh may have committed crimes. First is the attempted rape in the second degree. This offense requires an attempted sexual act with force or the threat of force without the victim's consent. That's a felony and carries a maximum sentence of 20 years. Second is sexual offense in the third degree, which requires the attempted engagement in sexual contact with another without consent, and which involves suffocation or aiding and abetting in the criminal offense by another. This is a felony of the third degree and carries a maximum prison sentence of 10 years. If a Maryland prosecutor believes there is probable cause to support these charges, Kavanaugh could quickly find himself a criminal defendant. Is this fair to Kavanaugh? According to news reports, Blasey Ford cannot remember how she got to the pool party, how she met Kavanaugh, or how she got home. She didn't inform the police, her friends, her parents, her school, or any other person or entity until nearly 30 years later in 2012. She told a marriage therapist, a marriage counselor, but then didn't even name Kavanaugh. Earlier this summer, Ford reported the allegation to the Washington Post via an anonymous tip line set up to dig for dirt on President Trump's judicial nominees. In any event, Kavanaugh is now defending himself against allegations that could be considered serious crimes that could put him in prison for many decades. Meanwhile, in Pennsylvania, the 40th statewide grand jury investigation report detailed decades-long criminal sexual abuse of children by Catholic priests and a comprehensive cover-up by high-ranking church officials. Of the 301 priests named in the report, only 2 have been charged with crimes. Under current Pennsylvania law, victims of child sexual abuse have until they reach the age of 30 to come forward if they wish to seek justice through our criminal justice system. The Pennsylvania General Assembly is now considering various legislative proposals to reform Pennsylvania's civil and criminal statutes of limitation. State Rep. Mark Rossi in the House and in the Senate, President Pro Tem Joe Scarnati have introduced bills that eliminate the criminal statute of limitations for child sexual abuse cases. Now, the Pennsylvania Catholic Conference opposes these efforts. Bishop Ronald Gaynor of Harrisburg has argued these reforms force the people who make up an organization like the Catholic Church today to defend themselves against a crime that was committed in their parish, school, or charitable program years ago. So the debate rages on, but I thought it important to point out that Judge Brett Kavanaugh, a man who has gone through 6 FBI background checks, has held some of the most important positions in our federal government, and by all appearances has led an exemplary life of public service, could potentially be charged with a crime that may have occurred more than 30 years ago, because in Maryland there's no statute of limitations. It should give us all pause as we consider eliminating the statute of limitations for criminal offenses involving child sexual abuse in Pennsylvania. That's about all the time we have for the Scaringi Law Lunch Break. I hope you learned something about the law today. Enjoy your lunch.